Welcome, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Today we'll be interviewing Jay Caruso regarding his new album, Jay Caruso, which is going to be featured on album night this upcoming Wednesday, April 15th, 2020. Album night is on johnbanrock.com. It's open to everybody. I hope you can show up. This is going to be the 94th album of the series, so we're probably long overdue, but great to have your album on here. I've been a big fan of it. Love the mix. Love everything about it. It's a nice, upbeat album too. I love listening to it during the summer as well.
Yeah.
It's a good feel-good album. So I'd like to ask you some more in-depth questions about that. First of all, hope you've been staying safe during the quarantine, during this pandemic. I hope you and your family are safe. To all the viewers out there, hope you guys are all safe. And to all the people on the front lines, thank you. They're all putting their lives on the line for us, so we appreciate it. And hopefully during the quarantine, we can bring some good music to their lives and help them get through the rough times. So Jay Caruso, thank you again for showing up. I have some questions I've written for you, and I'd love to find out more about the album and what went into the making of it and everything. So thanks again for showing up.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks, John. Hope everyone's staying safe and well during this time. We're gonna get through it. Obviously, you mentioned new release. So yes, it's sort of a new release. It sort of is not, like we discussed.
Yeah.
It's like a reissue. It's an album from 2016, which is 4 years now, and then I put two new tracks, one at the top of the list and then one in the middle, I think. And I changed the title. The album used to be called Rock Music for the past 4 years. I put it back up on streaming. It was sort of a laziness thing with renewing the publishing through the publisher. So everything's back up on streaming. So it's like a reissue of that 2016 album with a new name. So yes, it is sort of a new release, sort of not, but yeah.
Yeah. All right. Thank you for clarifying that. And every time I listen, it seems new to me, fresh and new. So, but thanks for clarifying that. And, one of the things for album night, I was waiting for it to get back on streaming. So I'm glad it is on there. And,
yeah, me too. It's like finally, it was off of streaming for like over a year, and I'm sorry.
Hey, no need to apologize. I'm glad it's back on there and with a couple of new tracks too. So that's why for me, it feels a bit like a new release because there are a couple of new tracks that I had never heard before. So certainly at least one of them anyway, which I will ask you a question about later. But congratulations on the album, even though it's a little older. I got a couple of new tracks. I know that anytime recording an album is a lot of work. So congratulations on it and on the re-release. So one of the questions I have for you is what DAW do you use? I know I'm a Pro Tools user. What do you use to record?
I use Ableton Live. I've been using Ableton Live for 12 years now, since 2008. I remember the first edition I got was, I think they were in Live 8, and I got the intro version in this cool little box where you used to buy software in boxes on a CD and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I've been using it ever since then. I took classes at Mercy College and WCC for music tech, and we only focused on Ableton for, I don't know, it was like a week or something. I just remember like the professor just like briefly introducing us to it, and that was it. So I didn't know much about it, but my cousin and his friend are DJs, my cousin Frank, and his friend was using Ableton. It looked cool. It was someone I knew that was using it, so I went for it. And I found out later that it's at the time, I don't know about now, but it was made for the live performance just as much as it was made for studio production, where they're based out in Berlin. They were doing a software that was made for the live performance just as much as it was made for studio production. So I thought that was cool too. But I got it mainly just because I knew someone that was using it, and I love it. I'm still using it 12 years later, and now we're at Live 10, and I might even dive into. I'm using Live 10 Intro right now. The album that you're listening to, most of the tracks were recorded on Live 9. And I think the first track on the reissue Ballroom was made with Live 10, and track 6, I think, I Can't Lie, the acapella one, that was made with Live 10. But everything else was made with Live 9 4 years ago. And yeah, that's the DAW I've pretty much always used since I stopped those classes and got something for myself. It's Ableton Live. I have used Pro Tools in class. Of course, I've seen Pro Tools in every other studio. It's great. Logic, I like Logic, but Ableton Live is the one I ended up with, and it's been great.
Yeah. No, I think that's great. And I think it's a lot of question people have, especially now that everybody's stuck at home. If
Yeah,
you haven't already used a DAW, hey, what's the best DAW for me? And I think probably that
yeah.
answer is different for everybody, but it's interesting to hear your perspective of it and the fact that you've had such success with Ableton Live.
Yeah, if it wasn't going to be live, it probably would have been Logic because that's what we used a lot in class. And I've worked on, Apple computers for music for probably the whole time. And with the exception, I used to have a PC. Actually, when I first started using Ableton, I had a PC for the first like 2 or 3 years. And then in 2011, I got a Mac at my house. But, I used to sell Mac computers and it was just always Logic, and everybody that would come into the Apple store, talk about Logic, talk about Pro Tools a little bit, and, Cakewalk here and there. Kids in school used to use Reason and Cakewalk, but it was almost always Logic. And
Yeah.
yeah, so Logic and Ableton, but I use Ableton.
Cool. So what instruments and other gear do you use? Do you have a keyboard? Do you play electric guitar, acoustic guitar, et cetera, et
I
cetera?
do. I play an acoustic electric. I play an Ovation Celebrity. I think 11 out of the 13 tracks on the album, the 2016 tracks, were used on a different Ovation Celebrity, but it was a different one than I play now. That guitar now has broken tuning heads, and I've yet to fix it. It's like downstairs, and I have to replace the tuning heads. But for ballroom and just all the new stuff that I've been working on within the past 2 years, I've used this Ovation Celebrity with some interesting sound hole configurations, something you don't really see on a lot of guitars, but these are the sound holes on this guitar. So I've been using this for the past 2 years or whatever. So that's an Ovation Celebrity. Other instruments, I have this thing, but I rarely use it. This was never used on any official records, but it's a Launch Key Mini from Novation.
Oh, okay.
And it's made specifically for Ableton Live, I think, but I don't really use it that much. Real bass guitar, I do play bass a little bit, but on these records that you hear on this album, I used all MIDI bass, all built-in Ableton instruments.
Yeah.
Change the velocity, try to make it sound like, older rock records that I like. Try to make it not sound so robotic as Ableton would have you hear it otherwise. But yeah, it's a lot of MIDI bass that I use. Percussion, it's all built in, and then percussion's a lot of work because I spend a lot of time on it and I care a lot about it. But were you asking about real instruments, everything, or just
Both.
real?
Yeah, just what goes into making a song? Is it MIDI? Is it real instruments? Yeah, well, all those questions. So
yeah, the guitar tracks are all the acoustic electric. My vocals are all. I'm starting to use some pitch correction now, but on this record, this J. Caruso record, there was no pitch correction involved. It was all just like straight up the best vocal takes, basically.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, I used an AKG for microphones. I used an AKG condenser. I think it was the C3000, sort of similar. John, for everyone watching, John had actually lent me. Was it an AKG also?
Yeah, it was a C214.
Large diaphragm or something?
Yeah, large diaphragm condenser. Yep.
It was similar to the one that you lent me, but I think it was a C3000. Also a large diaphragm, cardioid. That was for all the vocals, and I don't know how many times I mic'd the guitar. I don't remember if I ever mic'd the guitar. All the vocals came out of that original AKG C3000 cardioid that I had. What else? I would do hand claps sometimes for particular percussion parts. I'm not really sure which songs, but I know the acapella one. I can't lie. I did some hand claps for those, some beatboxing every once in a while. I care a lot about percussion. So just because I use drum packs and built-in Ableton instruments, once I drag the kit into the track, that's just the beginning. I have a whole lot of work to do. I cut, I chop, I add, I pencil in cymbals, I change the velocity, then I play it back 100 times, and you know,
Yeah.
somebody I used to work with at Apple, we used to joke about it. Like, you'll spend, like, if you get too caught up into it and you don't check yourself, like, you'll spend like 2 or 3 hours on like a little hi-hat part. You know, I just care a lot about
Yeah.
percussion and what I look for in other artists' records. And I'm a percussionist, and it's the instrument I've been playing the longest, so I care a lot about it. And yeah, the work is endless if you allow it to be. So you have to check yourself.
Yeah. Well, I think it comes through in the record. I mean, the percussion is great, and you can tell that you put a lot of work into it, and it's multi-layered as well. Even the claps. I was actually going to ask you, is that a
Yeah,
MIDI clap or is that you actually clapping? So thank you for answering that.
yeah,
It all comes through, you know.
yeah. I might have used some MIDI claps. I don't remember, but I know I definitely used real hand claps, and I like the way they sound a lot better for whatever reason. And yeah, you can either it's all taste. If you prefer the more robotic way that Ableton lays things out without changing velocity, people could like that.
Yeah.
And it depends on just the whole combination of what else is in the record and everything like that. But I like to have my drums sound as human as possible with these new tracks that I've been working on, including Ballroom. The one of the tracks that I added, the first track,
Yeah.
Caruso, I used one of the plugins that I'm mainly working with now. It's a drum pack. I got it off the Ableton website. You might still be able to get it, other DAW users. It's the signature KJ Saka. He's a drummer. I don't think he's an American drummer, but he has like a signature drum pack available for download on the Ableton website. I think I got a free download out of it. So they have a lot to choose from.
Yeah.
Paid or free, they have a lot of good drum packs on the Ableton website.
Cool. So based on everything, we've been talking about, it sounds like you've mostly answered the question I'm about to ask, but this was an entirely solo project, correct? You're the only one. You
This
wrote
one, yeah,
songs, you played everything, mixed it.
yeah, these collections of 13 tracks with Jay Caruso. This was entirely solo. All the writing, all the programming, all the instrumentation, arranging. This was entirely solo. The new record that I'm working on now, our friend Steve Squarek, I want to get him on a lead guitar. I'd like to get like a rapper or a backup vocalist for a couple of more tracks. A verse, chorus, some rap bars, and
Yeah.
a vocalist. I would like to do some features and collabs on this new album. But it's tough, especially now. You would have to do everything via email right now in the month of
Yeah.
April. And who knows for how much longer. Yeah,
Yeah.
so, but, a lot of these tracks were done on Jay Caruso with my back against the wall and sort of like I have to finish this, I got to get something out. So there was never really much time to get someone in and collaborate, even though I do want, at least 2 or 3 collaborations on each album. It just didn't happen. Plus I did a lot of these songs in California, so it was even harder.
Yeah. All right. So when you approach a song to record it, do you have a consistent process where you always do the beats first and then, guitar and vocal, or does each song unfold in its own way?
Pretty much when I sit down and I go to write, it usually goes guitar and vocal to start out at the foundation. And I usually try to incorporate like a chord I've never played before or I never knew about. Like when I go to write, I'll go to a chord chart and I'll pick out a chord that I was never familiar with before. And there are a lot of those, because for the most part, I know major, minor, and a few different formations that I use, but I don't really know what they are or the terminology for them. I just know they sound good to me.
Yeah.
But I'll go to a chart and I'll try to pick out something that's unfamiliar, start there. And that's good. There's the old saying that, art is good if it's fresh and if it's a new idea. So I I can agree to that because that's the way I go about writing. I try to pick out a new chord, if not more than one, then start from there. Does that chord last until the final result of the song? Not always, but it gets me going. It's a fresh perspective. So I'll start with a progression, 3 or 4 chords. I'll do a verse, a chorus. And once I have, at the minimum, a verse, chorus, I'll start humming out a melody. No real words or lyrics. So once those 2 are down, then I'll put in a basic drum track underneath and a basic bass track underneath. So then I have those 4. And then I'll hit the lyrics. I'll start hitting lyrics after that. The lyrics are always last. Start hashing out what this song is going to be talking about verbally.
Yeah.
So it usually goes guitar, vocal, melody, percussion, bass, and then lyrics last, and then bridge usually comes after that. Very up, second verse, second chorus. You know how it goes for a songwriter.
Yeah. So, but you write all these songs as you're recording. It's not that you've written already, performed it out, and then saying, okay, now's the time to record it. These are mostly being recorded and written at the same time, being constructed kind of in the studio.
Yeah, with the Jay Caruso songs, I pretty much sat down. This new album's a little different. I've had these tracks for a while, even going back to when I was living in California 2 or 3 years ago. But with the Jay Caruso tracks, it was mainly sit down, write the guitar, write the vocal melody, and then finish it within a matter of like 3 or 4 days. This was like a back against the wall. Each track was like, it didn't really take me more than 3 or 4 days for each song.
That's amazing.
When it comes down to it, I would pull a lot of all-nighters, stuff like that. Things I'm not sure I would do nowadays, but
you never know.
A lot of these songs were all-nighters, and my head would hurt the next day, and I would have to like wait like a couple of days to get my head right, and then play it back.
Yeah. No, you need that fresh perspective.
Yeah.
So what inspired ultimately you to change the album title? I know initially, at the beginning of the interview, also you said it was originally released as Rock Music, then you added a couple of tracks, changed the album title. Did you feel that Rock Music was no longer appropriate with the 2 new songs or representative, or did you just...
I just liked the name. I figured like if I was doing this reissue, putting it back up on streaming, adding 2 newer songs.
Yeah.
I just felt I had an excuse to change the name if I could. So I liked the self-titled idea better than Rock Music.
Yeah.
So I said, well, I like this better. I have the opportunity to change it. I sort of have an excuse to change the name. It's a new issue. So I did. So now I have the self-titled record out of the way. I like that better than the name Rock Music. So kind of got a free pass with that one. It's not like, it was up on streaming, and then we're gonna come out with a new title and 2 new songs, and we're gonna take this down. It wasn't like that. So this thing had been off of streaming for over a year, so I figured it's fine.
Yeah. Okay. And by the way, for anybody listening out there, it's Jay Caruso, meaning J. Caruso, not Jay Caruso. So J. Caruso, check it out. So what are some artists that inspired you, that maybe you heard their albums at some point and made you want to be a musician and also record your own stuff?
Yeah, well, in the early days when I was, when music was hitting me in a much different way, life was just different. At 13 years old, from 13 to 17, it was a lot of rock bands. There was a lot of, good rock albums. I was starting to understand, the art of like a good rock album. So in those days, I was inspired by Nirvana, Incubus, Beatles. Those were a lot of bands that I listened to a lot. Zeppelin. I remember my friend and his brother had like the complete Zeppelin box set. Used to play that all the time. Then later on, I got more into bands like Deftones, and the singer-songwriter thing didn't really happen for me until 8 years ago. So friends would turn me on to like Steve Squark would introduce me to artists like Donovan, and I would hear like Ray LaMontagne on 107.1 The Peak, and and things like that. But I've mostly been influenced by Cobain, the old soul singers, Sam Cooke, very influenced by Sam Cooke, Smokey Robinson,
Hmm.
Sinatra. How can I not say Sinatra? I've been listening to Sinatra all my life. The smoothness of it all. Album artists, of course, Lennon, McCartney, and Led Zeppelin for sure.
Yeah. And you're obviously a great drummer, but you're a multi-instrumentalist. What is your favorite instrument to play, if you can narrow it down to just one?
Yeah, I hate to let go of the guitar, but I have to say drums. I've been playing drums since I was literally 3 or 4 years old. Not even because of that. I love the drums. I love what they can do for music, what they can do for a song, for an album, whatever. I play drums at weddings. I love what they can do for parties. It's a good time. It's a release. And I just love the drums. I love the whole bombast of it all. And acoustic drums, I do like electric drums, but I'm talking, this time specifically about acoustic drums and shells and all that.
Yeah. Great.
Yeah.
So it sounds like you do have a new album in the works.
Yeah.
Do you have any upcoming shows? I know now we're limited to obviously online shows. You have some coming up?
I have some virtual shows coming up. Today actually is later today. I'm doing Greg J's virtual showcase, but obviously people aren't going to hear about that until next week. So
yeah,
not really counting that. Sunday, April 19th, I'm going to be doing a virtual show on stageit.com. So anyone that wants to tune into that, it's going to be stageit.com/CarusoJ. So it's my artist name sort of flipped. And StageIt is simply like a really good platform right now for independent artists or whatever kind of artist you are to get up in front of a screen, for a virtual show for a half hour. At least artists of our level are limited to a half hour right now, but you can monetize the thing. You can set it up. I'm not going to be taking any money, but it's pay what you want. If you wish to put some money into the pot, it's all going to go to the Music Cares COVID Relief Fund.
Great.
So that's going to be April 19th at 7 Eastern, 7 to 7:30. I don't know if you can replay it after that. I'm not sure. I have to look into that. But yeah, stageit.com/CarusoJ, and then I'll probably do another virtual StageIt show. Even if things do start to reopen in May, nobody even knows right now, but I'll probably do one more virtual show because there are going to be a lot of people that are still not going out as much. So I'll do, as long as this COVID thing keeps going on, I'll probably do like one StageIt show a month. Sprinkle in some Facebook and Instagram lives here and there. I don't want to like do overkill. Not that I'm saying that anyone who does once a week is doing overkill. It's just for me, I don't really want to do once a week for the Facebook and the Instagram lives.
Sure.
Tom McDermott and I were booked for the Freight House Cafe in Mayapack June 13th, but I've been meaning to call him about that. But eventually, I'll call him and see what's going on. He probably hasn't even talked to the venue yet.
Yeah.
So I don't know. But a show like that, it's not a ticketed show, so we could probably wait till the last minute to make a call on it. But right now, as far as I know, we're still booked for June 13th, Freight House Cafe in Mayapack, me and Tom McDermott. And that's it. Of course, when COVID's over, I'm going to be booking a lot more shows. So just the virtual stuff for now.
Okay. And where can people follow you so they can stay up to date on this? And where can they find your music?
You can follow me social media. Facebook is J Caruso Sound, or search j.caruso. Instagram J Caruso Sound. Twitter J Caruso Sound. My official website is jcarusosound.com. My album is up for sale on that. It's up for sale on johncaruso.bandcamp.com, and of course it's streaming on Apple Music, Spotify. You can get it on Amazon, Google Play. I think you said Tidal is the only one of the big ones right now that doesn't yet have it.
No, it's on there. It's on there. I found it ultimately.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
I think I had been searching. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah.
Great.
That's it. That's all of them. I think SoundCloud.com/John Caruso Sound. I think I was unable. Something happened with the SoundCloud where you have to do John Caruso Sound, but search j.caruso.
Okay, great. Well, thanks for taking the time today to speak with me.
Thank
If you're
you.
watching this replay before Wednesday, April 15th, show up to album night, 9 p.m. on johnbanrock.com. We'll be featuring the album. John, you have also graciously allowed me to stream the album from the site during the event. So anybody that doesn't have access yet to any of the streaming platforms can stream it right on the site. And if you don't get an opportunity to tune in, then I encourage you all to check out the album. So thanks again, Jay Caruso, for joining me.
Thank you, John. Appreciate
And
it.
I wish you all a good day and stay safe, everybody.
Yeah, have a good one. Stay safe.
All right. And I'm John Banrock, your host. Have a good one, everybody.